Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome back to another episode of samosachai.net. I am Partharu here today as an event planner from the Microsoft Reactor Bangalore, and with our very own host Nish and Vivek, of course, our special guest speaker Rashmi as well.
Fantastic. Hey, how is it, everyone? How is everyone doing?
Awesome. I'm doing good too. Super excited that samosachai.net series is back. How is it with you,
Yeah,
Nish and Vivek?
yeah. I think as we speak, I realize it's Part's first show with us, right?
Yes.
We
He's
did
a
two
special
seasons,
guest.
and
He's a
he's our
guest.
special guest too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fantastic. It's a what a great way to start our next season with Parth in the show
Part sitting at reactor.
at Reactor Bangalore.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm at Reactor.
yeah. Totally, we couldn't
Okay.
tell when you when you were having.
Okay,
So
I
for
thought
we
before
it was
begin,
someone.
yeah, we'll just go through the code of conduct.
yes. I would request you all to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together. So please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section is open throughout and we do encourage you all to participate. Vivek and Nish will both together answer all your questions during the session. So please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. With this, thank you and enjoy the session. Over to you guys, Vivek, Nish, Reshmi.
Thank you,
All
Parth.
right. Thank you, Parth.
Yes.
What's up, Vivek? What's happening in your life? Like it's been really long that we chatted.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
totally a lie, right?
it's
We chat
fun.
often.
I'm back to online session today. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I've been like last 10 sessions of mine is in person and hybrid. Today I'm back online, completely online.
Yeah. I've just realized that, we have been doing so many sessions now with in person. The dynamics have changed and how much energies that we all gather from all these in person events. And but what we really, really missed is actually chatting online and being on the show and talking, bringing in guests from other cities, right? Which is very difficult to make it happen when it is an in person event, right? So today, whom do we have? Vivek, what are we getting started with?
Today we have Reshmi. Let me bring her in.
Hey, Reshmi.
Hello.
Hello.
It's finally fun to come from the background to the front.
Yeah, it's fun.
Reshmi, I
So
mean, can you introduce yourself to the audience today?
I will. I will. Thank you so much for having me, by the way. And to just start it off on the right tone, because the topic is Swasti Swagat, I am going to start with a Swagat. So,
I want
yeah,
to ask you
hi.
there. I want to ask you there,
Yeah.
like what inspired you to use that title, Swagath?
It's just a play around. So, you mentioned that it's the first act for samosachai.net after a very long gap. So, by
Hmm.
default, we have to welcome folks. And secondly, Static Web Apps just abbreviates to SWA. So
Right.
perfect audience, perfect crowd, use
Amazing.
it.
Amazing. I It's really amazing to be that creative because I feel that when Vivek came up with the Samosa Chai as a brand name, I was thinking that he was like playing around with it, but then eventually it became an official brand. It was now becoming stickers, and we have videos and all those things. But I think it has kept the benchmark so high that when you came up with this title, it's like, oh yeah, this is exactly how we want to do the show. We want to, I mean, but we want to come up with these more and more creative titles from now on. I don't know what are we going to come up with the next show, which is the .NET Maui. Maui is also an
I
island.
think Maui is,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
already pretty creative. We just go like all Hawaii theme.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to see how we can Indianize that too, like the samosa, the chai, and swagat. Like we need to say something clever with Maui too. So but yeah, I mean now the benchmarks are very high, so I'll just leave. I'll ask Vivek to do that now.
Yeah, when I
Yeah,
first when I first saw that, right, the title, I read it like swag says Swaagat. Like, oh God, okay, this is nice. We have swags to Swaagat. Then okay, no, it's basically static Azure Static Web App.
yeah, I should
Yeah,
probably have
that's
put
very
that
clever.
intro music also, right? For Swag se Swagat thingy. I actually thought of that, but yeah, never mind. Quickly jumping back to my intro, I know we just
So
diverted a
sorry,
lot, but
so
yeah.
sorry. We just go
Okay,
like
no
that.
worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So, hey folks, for the ones who are seeing me for the first time, I'm Reshmi and I'm a PM with Azure Static Web Apps team. I've been working with Microsoft for the past 1 year now as a PM, and we work towards shipping more developer experience friendly and customer seamless experiences, features to make the product something that they really love to code with, right? So, the product static web apps, I kind of want to talk a lot about it. Obviously, this show is about that, but I thought let's take a creative turn again. And this time, when I'm going to talk about the product, I'm going to do it through a demonstration. So, that's something I'm going to just park aside whenever we are ready for it. But otherwise, I am available on the Twitter handle that you can see on the screen. So if you want to reach out to me for anything, feel free to just drop me a ping, a hi, anything that works. And I would love to meet all of you in person whenever that happens next. But I'm working out of Hyderabad. I keep traveling to Bangalore. So maybe that can happen again. Vivek, Nish, please invite me again to Bangalore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so you're sitting right now in the Hyderabad office, which is the
Oh,
famous
yes.
IDC, right? India Development
Yes,
Center. Nice, nice.
that's correct. So this is my
A huge
cabin,
campus.
and
Yeah.
this is the Microsoft cup, which I just had coffee from. So yeah, this
Do we
is
all have to show that, like, oh yeah, there's the
it's like a symbol. Just have some branding around you.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for taking time and joining us. And it's really amazing to have program managers and engineering teams on the show where people can chat about something in depth about the products that you are building. And I'm also looking forward to some amazing things that you would like to share with us, like the roadmaps and things, if you could. What's coming next, and as well, and also to all the viewers, please feel free to ask your questions. We're going to bring up those questions up on the screen, and then we'll ask Reshmi live. Also, the other thing is we try to keep the show very, very casual, so feel free to bring up questions that way. And do we have any particular question, Vivek, that you wanted to ask before we started?
Our new logo, how is it?
Oh wow,
Hmm.
Is
oh
it
wow,
I
perfect?
wow.
cannot stop admiring how beautiful this looks like. It's perfect.
A question to audience. Okay, so how many of you want this sticker? Press, just say
I
yes, and we are
definitely want it.
sending it to you. We are sending
Can
it to
I?
you.
Can I? I also want it, please. I want some swags.
Okay. Before we go there, okay. Before we get started with Static Web App, I just wanted to do a recap of season one and season two. So season one was amazing, where we get started with .NET, learning .NET, and .NET 6, some of the .NET 6, things like Maui, the Blazor, and other things which we discussed. And season two was really amazing. We did 8 episodes, Nish,
Hmm.
8,
Yep.
and covering microservices. Like if you want to learn microservices, you have to go through those sessions, and you will find all answers for building a microservice application. So that was the show all about. And we are back with season three. We're going to cover a range of things in season three, from the cloud native, and obviously we are focusing today on static web app. That's something which we're going to do. Cool, over to you, Reshmi. I have a question to you.
Uh-huh.
uh, even before we get started with uh, you know static web app, I want to know what is the difference between a static web app and a dynamic web app.
Oh, that's actually a good question. And we do hear that a lot from the people who I talk to. So there is this very big assumption that just because your site is a static site, it does not have anything which is moving, right? Everything is just there on the page, and there is no sorts of transactional calls happening. Nothing's happening. It's just like you could say just a snap, right? So it's a good question that you asked, and it's good to give that context a bit more. So the idea basically is when you have a service like static web apps, what you're trying to do is we are trying to segregate a website into two chunks. One chunk is focusing on HTMLs, images, CSS, etc. Right? So these are the things which are majorly static. Static in the sense that they do not have transactional calls, but at the same time, they could have dynamic elements like maybe there's a GIF or there's some sort of like redirection which we are routing to. So those things can happen, but they do not have to call someplace and get data, right? And the second half is the serverless API. So that consists of our backend. So what Static Web Apps does is we host Azure functions as our backend. And anyone who wants to hit the backend and get any sorts of data, they just have to make a transactional call to slash API, and their backend operates the content and sends it back to static app. And this segregation helps us in reducing the latency in hosting the site, helps in easier maintenance. So whenever you have to update something in the backend, you do not have to fiddle with the front end at all, right? It just stays there totally available to the customers. And we have a lot more integrations which helps in speeding up how we provide the static sites to users. So yes, if you were to define static web apps, the static and static web apps is basically for the highlight on segregation. I hope that answered.
Yeah,
It does.
I,
Yep.
so, so basically, I'm looking at everything, computing and everything is happening at the client side. So everything,
Yes.
it's still there is JavaScript calling stuff, and still I'm able to compute and do something, but it is everything is happening at the client side. There is no call; it's going in the backend.
Yep.
Is
So
that
far,
right?
yes.
Okay.
So far,
Okay.
yes. We are still sticking to client side, but just a quick spoiler. We are working on server
Oh,
side
we love
rendering right
spoilers.
now.
Wow.
We are working on server side rendering right now, and very soon, I cannot give the timeline exactly when, but very soon you should be able to see server side rendering as well. And yes, even then it classifies as a static website. So, yep,
Fantastic.
stay
Now
tuned.
let's deep dive then. Let's deep dive.
Yes, totally. Okay,
Cool. I'll
it's
bring up your desktop.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you
So
so
it's all
much for that.
yours. Cool.
Yes. Cool. So, folks, to just start it off, I am going to just walk through the repo that I created. It's a demo application where I am talking through what exactly Static Web Apps is, right? So, I'll be sharing the link to this GitHub repo towards the end. So, if you want to like check it out more in detail and use this as a template for some other project, feel free to do so. But otherwise, it's just basically a presentation. I have majorly worked on the reveal.js framework, which helps in creating presentations in HTML, and the maximum coding which has been gone through this is all in index.html, right? So what I want to go is quickly go to my VS Code screen. I hope this is still visible. I just cloned the repo, I did my npm in it, and now what I want to do is I want to run this locally, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to use SWA CLI. So before I start SWA CLI, I just want to quickly show what exactly the tool is. I hope the screen is still visible because I clearly cannot see anything happening. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So, guys,
You're good.
SWA CLI is a command line interpreter which we recently GA'd. It's just been like 1.5 months. And with that, basically, we are providing solid features for helping a person code all the way from their local system to the cloud with just your dev box, right? You don't have to like go to the portal and go through all the Azure errands and things like that. We help in configuring your resource group, we help in configuring your host website, things like that. Everything just becomes very seamless with just one place, just VS Code, right? So I'm gonna show the link to the SWA CLI website. So this link is going to come up on your screen. If you want to check out the documentation, you can do that. But practically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these commands right now, and they are going to help in getting all sorts of stuff. Like init is basically setting up my project, logging into Azure, starting the application locally, and all the way till deploying it to the cloud. I'm going to show all of them in the current demo. So just quickly going, I'm going to start off with SWA init. right? So what init does is it creates a configuration for me, and this configuration basically looks at my project and it automatically detects that on the current setup that I have, the app location where my file is inside the static folder, which exactly is where it is, and my output location, because I do not have anything else except an index.html, it's dot, right? We have the whole automatic framework detection piece along with the CLI, so you don't have to go through the whole struggle of, hey, if I'm using Angular, I don't know what is the configuration I need to set up. No, we do the detection for you. We automatically feed it for you. If you think something's wrong, you have the options for editing it. But right now for me, it works fine, right? So I'm just going to go yes with it. And here, if I see, there's a new config file created for me, and it basically walks through exactly the configurations I need to run my application. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to locally start it in my server. So I go SWA start minus app location. So application flag is basically telling the system where my application is. Actually, I don't even have to do that, because I already have the config, but I'm just going to show it so that everyone can see the things. So here, what I'm doing is I am starting a portal, an emulator in my system, which brings up the static site. It builds, it brings it up. Right now, I do not have building because it's HTML, but it builds, it brings it together, it puts the picture. And now, if I visit 4280, there you go. This is the demo that I want to show. So whenever we are ready, we can start learning about static web apps. Are we
So
good to go there?
I have a question.
Sure.
So if you go back to your code,
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
so so basically you have a structure, right? So you have a
Right.
code ready, and what
Mm-hmm.
you did was, install the CLI. Through CLI, you enabled this as a static web app, and then you configured it, and then you brought up the whole application. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm just trying to simplify it.
Oh, okay. I was kind of waiting for a question.
No, I'm trying
So
to understand it myself. So yeah.
fair enough,
So
fair enough.
now you have this setup ready.
Yeah. So basically, I will talk about the advantage of using SWA in some more time when I try to create an API alongside. But the idea is you can always start the server by default by using npm start, right? When you do npm start, it basically just picks the script from here and it runs the script for, in my case, it's gulp serve. But all I do is I just write npm run start and it does all the execution. Now what I'm doing is I have my own command line emulator which is running npm in the background. So I don't have to worry about the npm commands anymore. All I have to do is was start. That's it. And it brings up the website in a specific port which is 4280, and again that is configurable, so we will see that also some more time. But yep, I am back to my presentation now. Can we start now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So, quickly starting off, and mind you, all this is just HTML. Okay, this is just HTML. We are looking at a static site,
I know
which
you're
is
cheating with the
basically
PowerPoint. This is PowerPoint, right?
this is not PowerPoint. I am so embarrassed to say this, but PowerPoint got defeated by a very big mile thanks to
Oh my
reveal.js.
god.
But you'll see that
Cool.
upcoming. So, yes, guys, welcome to the Samosa Chai show. And I am going to quickly do Swase Swagat again. So, looking through the whole use case of what and why static web apps is in the picture, I think the best way to do it is actually see an example. And this example actually comes from a real life case. That is, it's from my flatmate's life story. So I just like played around with the names a bit, but this is how it goes. Okay. So we're talking about Kathy and her art store. So Kathy loves painting. She's been selling with a good popularity in her own locality, right? She just paints and she displays it in her art gallery and things work fine. But now, because she is getting really famous, she wants to expand her business. She wants to actually make sure that people from across the globe are also able to reach her. So, how does she do that? She's confused. And voila, the solution that she thinks of, and which exactly is the most feasible solution for any developer or any, actually not developer, any startup business, is to quickly host a website, right? These days, like if you just stay a brick and mortar shop, the amount of success that you can have is very limited because you're only famous in the local audience. But the minute you have a website, anyone from across the globe who's hitting it, like for suppose right now, you folks watching the stream, is able to do it from different parts of the country, right? So that's exactly the idea that she got inspired by. So she contacted one of the developers and she asked them to create a portfolio website for her. And this could be her landing page for e commerce. But there are a lot of challenges when it comes to having a website. And these are the challenges which people encounter when they start working on it, right? So let's look at a few of them. So the first thing that is her primary requirement is it needs global availability. By that, what I mean is if I'm working out of India and I host my website in an Indian CDN, that is in an Indian domain, the possibility that someone who's there in the US accessing the site will see a bigger latency. They would probably be waiting 5 seconds for the website to load when someone from India is trying the website and they're going to get it immediately. So that's not a good experience for customers, right? The site needs to be secure. I mean, everything right now is all about security. The whole world is about security. So you need to be very sure that the site is secured and it has all sorts of SSL certifications. She wants to have a custom domain. Obviously, she doesn't want to go by some very cliche name, right? She wants to have her specific domain, which can be easily configured. She doesn't have to go through a hell of an effort to do that. And the biggest part, she wants to make sure that if she has a database, which is having like all her stock inventory details, if there is any artwork which is going out of sale, she wants to make sure that everything gets updated immediately so that people are actually able to see the live transactions, right? So, suppose you're trying to purchase something, the customers need to know if it's still available in the market or not. So, she wants like immediate transactions to happen, updates to happen. And of course, she's just starting small, but she doesn't know how broadly she wants to grow. Maybe she's starting right now from Kerala. From Kerala, she wants to go to India. From India, she wants to grow even more globally, Asia, and then like across the world. If this is how she wants to scale, she doesn't want to end up paying hell lots of money just because she wants to keep scaling. Like, should she keep redeploying? Should she keep recreating? How does she do that? So ultimately, Kathy is in a dilemma. How does she find a cost effective solution for all of these? And that's where, guys. Okay. So, yeah, I had to present it. I had to do a grand show.
Nice. Very nice. I almost danced to that beats, even though I was not planning
I
to.
kind of was expecting you to dance because I know you have got the good dance moves, but yeah, maybe next.
Yeah.
But yeah, so quickly presenting Azure Static Web Apps. So the idea of a static web apps is exactly to solve this dilemma for thousands of our customers. That is, how do we make sure that customers enjoy a very seamless experience in hosting their websites in such a manner that they get scale, they get global hosting, they get good availability, automation, integration, all of these. This was basically the agenda that we had when we were creating this product. And the highlight is source code to global. We always focus on global availability. So even if you're just in India, we want to make sure that your website is accessible across the globe. Looking at free SSL certifications, I mean, like, what more do you want? You don't have to go and get a separate certification from anywhere. You don't have to break your heads to try figure out how do you do that. You have all the certifications necessary provided free of cost in the website, in your application. You have auth provider integrations across like a lot of them, like GitHub, Twitter, AAT, name it, and you have support for that, right? You don't have to like again do manual efforts to integrate your authentication. And the authentication also provides all sorts of authorization roles, like you can have admin, you can have user, you can, yeah, I mean, like everything you need configured already, we have a template for you. You just have to like jump in and configure the exact values you want.
Yeah. So um, the SSL certificate, I mean, everybody who has done a website at least once in your life know the complications that comes with the SSL certifications. Like I've done like enormous amount of websites, like done for my friends, family, people who want similar to Kathy's story, right? People come up and say, "Hey, you are the guy." I mean, the moment people know that you're working for Microsoft, it's a natural thing that people come to you for all the tech support. And one of the things is to come for building websites and things like that. And the SSL thing is so very hard. It is extremely hard if you have to do SSL. So when you say free SSL, that's just a big amount of effort that goes into, which ideally goes into your thing, is taken away, and then Azure is handling that for you, and that is really, really amazing. If not anything, this is what it sold me for sure. So it actually, I can understand that, how the pain involved in it. And again, the other one, the auth provider integration, that's again the other challenges, right? Auth is super hard. It's very difficult to make things work. Again, having those kind of integrations piece at there with your socials and things like that, it just makes it extremely easy. But yeah, I mean, yeah, when we see the demo, probably we'll get to know the how easy it is to configure these things. Yeah, great going, Rishmi.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So one
Uh,
question there,
yes,
one question I have. So that's a question. This is a question.
uh-huh.
So, so if I deploy, you said you can access these websites around the globe, right? So if I
Hmm.
deploy it in India, and if
Hmm.
somebody is accessing, will it be point to point, caching, or is there anywhere we are there?
Yeah, so we have global presence, I would say. So we do have multiple regions deployed across the globe. So whenever we have any sort of website which is pulled up, the static content gets deployed across the whole globe, right? All the regions that we have, it gets deployed everywhere. So depending on which location you are in, it gets from the nearest CDN, and that's how we make sure that you experience the least latency possible.
Nice. That
Awesome.
is also hard to achieve, Nish.
I
Yes.
agree.
And quickly going to the next part, right? So the highlight is how I am currently doing and going to show in the demo how basically by being just in my local system, I am going to be able to develop, debug, and deploy all the way till the Azure cloud with just one tool, right? So I'm going to make sure that every developer has a seamless experience by the end of the show. And I would really, really love to hear back from you guys as well. And oh yeah, I mean, this is the highlight. Sorry, I take back. I think this is the highlight biggest. So the idea of CI/CD basically is continuous integration, continuous deployment. And what happens here is every time you make a code change, every time there is a new change which is pushed to your main repo, be it like GitHub or Azure DevOps or any other pipeline provider that you have, what it does is it automatically triggers the next set of build and deploy. So you do not have to care about any other manual steps. All you have to do is make your changes and do git push. And if it is pushed to the main branch which you have configured the website to, it's going to automatically trigger and deploy the changes according to however it was meant to be, right? I mean, how amazing is that? You're not wasting a single second of time and trying to go back and trigger the deploy and then first build it, send it to test, and then validate and test, etc. No, you can configure all the stages. You can have staged environments. You can make sure that this push directly goes to whichever stage you want to, and you can also configure steps in between which validate that you need some sort of manual validation for suppose you can add that as well, right? So we're just making it equally seamless for any developer and non-developer to get their code changes immediately reflected to the website.
It is amazing. Yeah, the DevOps integration is another piece, which is I think for developers generally, initially, if you're not used to the CI/CD pipeline, if you're coming from the website world, I mean, I've been building websites like maybe about 15 years ago was the first time that I started building websites, and those days it was like FTP services where you create Vivek, have you done that too? Like you do HTML thing, edit everything, and then you have package it into an FTP thing, and then you use a thing called like FileZilla and things like that. You send it, and then you immediately understand there's a typo that you totally missed out, and then you go edit the file that was there in the server, and you
I,
don't maintain the local one, and then eventually you're like, oh wait, which one is what?
no, I was DevOps. I was
Oh,
DevOps
you were
head. Remember? So I had
Yep.
all the privilege to do that. But yeah,
Yep.
uh,
I would
but
argue. I mean, 15 years ago, if you were a DevOps head, then I think you're
oh
lying.
no, no, I was not doing that at that time. That time I was building a different kind of a tool. Not
Yeah.
that time we were not building the web ones. Yeah,
Right.
but don't call 15 years because people will think we are
Oh, you're
old.
young. I know.
Yeah, I'm
You're
pretty
young.
young. So yeah, I'm young.
I was in my fifth standard 15 years ago when I was building my website. I can say that, right?
Yeah.
Totally, me
Anyway.
too. And
Okay.
for me, I think it's actually. But
Cool.
yeah,
So I think
quick.
I think it's amazing that how that CI/CD integration is there. Like once you set up, I mean, well, I did this myself when I was doing this Samosa Chai website, and then once you have the pipeline set up, and then it's just a flow. Like you just edit the code, you check, commit those. I still say check-in by. I don't know if you noticed. Like I don't use commit. It's check-in is a VS VSTS thing, or oh yeah, forget it. So you commit those things, and then it automatically like you can say which branch you want to make sure that it is it's the production branch, and then once you commit to that, then it automatically reflects those changes, and that's really amazing.
Totally. I totally agree to that. And I am sure that everyone who gets to experience this is definitely going to relate to the same thing, because people who have gone through the whole manual efforts of setting it up, running through the whole rounds of getting the site up and ready, definitely know how gruesome and how time consuming it is. So
Yeah.
I cannot wait for showing the demo, because that's definitely going to blow everyone's brains. And yes, and going back to the serverless attached model that I was talking about early, right? So even in case of Katie's example, or we are talking about any other sorts of examples where people want to like scale from small to larger, and they want to end up paying exactly for the things that they're going to use, right? You don't want to like buy this whole 1 TB, 2 TB of space, and you're probably like seeing just a couple hits on one day, and you're seeing like extreme hits on the other day, but you're just ending up paying for everything for no use. What do you want to do? You want to optimize your costs. And how do you do that? You pay as you go. You basically scale according to the effort, the traffic that you're seeing, according to the demands that you're seeing. And when you don't see that, you have an option to like quickly scale back and make sure that you're not spending for a lot of resources. And this again, guys, is only coming into picture for attached services, right? We are looking at serverless attached models for API backends where we have like some sort of storage or some sort of CMS and anything like that from where we are fetching the data. How do we make sure that we have minimal resource being consumed and saving the costs? So that's something which any developer will love to have. And finally, the demo which I'm doing right now also proves as a point to that is this dedicated, powerful tool, a command line tool, which helps you go all the way from code to cloud. And I cannot I cannot emphasize enough on the fact that, guys, it's open source. It's completely open source. And I would love to see the contributions keep flowing in from the developer community. We already see a good amount of traction where people are like trying to make their mark on the Azure Static Web Apps world. And I would love to see the same thing coming out of you all whenever you try it, because I I'm so sorry. I want this to be something which is built by the community for the community, and people are enjoying using it, right? We want to build a very developer friendly world where people enjoy coding with something and they are actually putting their time and effort into improving that experience. And this is a testament to that, to the last 2 years of efforts where the community, the advocates, the product team, everyone came together, put their brains and minds, and created this code to cloud tool. So yes, the URL is already out there. I know Vivek already posted it. And to answer, I think it was Sunny who asked this question. This is all available free of cost. Yes. So all these things are available for you free of cost. All you have to do is create your static web app, make an Azure subscription. I mean, what more do you want? What can you ask more for, right?
That's amazing. It's all free.
Free,
Yeah, I
free,
mean,
free.
we'll talk about Samosa Chai website after once you're done, and
Yes.
the fact that it's free, it's really amazing for us too.
I know. So I'm not going to take a lot of time on this slide, but this basically talks about the architecture and the idea which I had explained earlier about how we divide the website content into static and serverless. And static is going to host the content for the website across the globe, which is making sure that there is like zero latency. And functions is going to make the backend transaction calls only as and when they are communicated, right? So this is going to make sure that your website is available across the globe in a very seamless fashion, and all the updates are going quick and through without having a build and deployment for everything that you have on the website. So this is just a quick recap of all the points which I discussed right now. I am going to share the link later so you can like have a good time reading through it. If you have questions, you can like get back to me. But what I want to highlight here, guys, is this is how Kathy hosted her site on Static Web App, and now she has a working portal where she has all her art up and out for anyone who wants to access it, right? This is her portfolio, and this is actually my friend's portfolio, guys. A cute shout out to her and her
Yeah, I was about
website.
to
But
ask
yeah,
that actually. These paintings are really amazing. And did you pay any copyright thing for how did you even bring this? And
no, this is
good to know that
literally her
it's your
portal.
friend's website.
This is
Nice.
literally her portal. I am just the background for the slide is her website. So I am literally just on her website. So
Oh
if you
wow.
check this out, this is her website, this is her art, and all her work is out here. And this, my friends, is not possible in PowerPoint. This is reveal.js. So yeah, that's where reveal.js kind of like overstepped static web. Sorry, overstepped PowerPoint. But yeah.
This is really nice. I like it.
So
There are
going
very
back to
few
my
people in the world
motivation
who can do the demo
speech.
like this.
Thank you, thank you. So going back to the motivation speech that I was giving, now that you've seen all, what's stopping you? Be like Katie and go try your own static web app right away. Awesome. I'm not going to spend more time on the demo sound, although I really wish that sound could just keep playing in the background. But what we are going to do now, guys, is now that we have completed the local demo, and mind you, I'm just going to quickly show that again. All this is running in our local host 4280, right? Nothing is hosted right now. Everything is still running on my local system. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly end it. And now I have a config which shows exactly how I want to build this. So all I have to do is SWA deploy. And with this one single command, what's going to happen is it's going to automatically log me into Azure. It's going to ask me which subscription I want to use. I go to my subscription. I choose the application where I want to host it. This is my resource group. Mind you, I'm not literally doing anything. I'm just like selecting options from the drop down, right? It's that intuitive and interactive. All I have to do is choose the correct options that I want. The configuration was prepared by the tool, the login sessions done by the tool, and right now the deployment is also going by the tool. And all this while, I just want to make sure that everyone knows this is not the only solution possible. We do have Azure Static Web Apps extension, which also lets you deploy, and the final option obviously is directly go to the Azure portal and do the deployment over there. And everything is very user friendly. Oh, I didn't even complete my sentence and the deployment is already there. Can you believe it? I mean, it's not even 1 minute. How long did it
That
take?
was really fast. Yep.
I know.
That's
And there
faster
you go,
than
guys.
oh wow.
This right now is on a global URL. It's not on my local system. It's my website completely loaded in a URL. And if I visit the portal resource, right, I'm just going to quickly refresh so that I can make sure it's up and update over there. This is the RP where we checked in, right? This is the URL we just hit. So everything is configured over here, and I can make sure that this URL. Oh, my bad. The URL is not updated. Yeah, something has to go wrong every time. I think I'm in the wrong repo. But yeah, either which ways, coming back to the fact, this URL is not on my local system. So basically, I went from code to cloud with just 20 seconds with 4 clicks. That's it, right? I literally just did 4 clicks and one command, which is SWA deploy. That's it.
W-
So
Wait, what happened there actually? Because I thought it was live. Is it?
yeah,
Is it not?
it is live. I think I am in the wrong
Wrong
repo.
group.
Okay. Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
I'm probably in the wrong repo, so I need to update this. But I have been playing with the same URL since the last
Hmm.
2 3 days, I think. So maybe like I updated the wrong repo, but that's not an issue. It's just a quick bummer. I have to edit it over there, but all in all, if I want to see the configurations where I'm going through, everything is over here. So I can like quickly retrace and make sure that everything is here. And this is the place where I go. This is the URL I visit. And this is exactly what I clicked and it opened. So yes, we have the site up there, and the Azure Static Apps.net is the testament to the fact that it's not running on my local, it's running on the global uh, port, right? And right now, what I have is just the static content up. But now, what if I want to bring the API content? What if I want to have like some sort of backend which is making a transactional call? So I want to jump to that. But before that, I'm going to quickly pause for any questions from the audience or Vivek. If you have any questions, I can take that up and then we can go to the next part.
Yeah, we have one question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Microsoft Power Apps and Azure Static Web Apps?
Okay, Sunny, that's a good question. So, for starters, Power Apps and static web apps are like really two different extremes. The reason being, the idea for Power Apps is a no code solution, and the idea of a static web apps is a low code solution. So, when you're deploying a static web apps, you do not have to not code, you still have to write your basic application code. You have a lot of templates which help in creating you quick and easy websites, but ultimately the things that you want on the website you still code it. So these are like specifically for people who are developers, and Power Apps on the other end are more for people who do not have a developer background, who would like to like maybe like drag and drop things to make their website look like so or so, or just have one click enablement, things like that. So that is the basic difference between these two. There is a very slight overlap between the low code and the no code, but we are two different target products.
Cool. I think that's all the questions that we have for now. If we get more, I think we'll
But
have them
I'll take
later.
one question from Vivek before I proceed. I know he's wanting to ask
No,
something.
no, no. I'm eager to see how it gets connected to the backend system now.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so let's not waste more time. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Azure Static Web Apps extension. So, for starters, all you have to do is you're going to go to the extensions option in VS Code and go for Azure Static Web Apps, right? It's again a free extension. All you have to do is install it, and this is going to enable having Azure support in your VS Code so that if you want to do like any sorts of quick additions and deployments, which I'm going to do right now, you have it very easily, right? So what I'm going to do now is do uh, Control Shift P, if that's the code correct. Yeah. So I'm bringing the palette down and I'm going to create an HTTP function for my static web app. And now it's going to give me very simple drop down options where I can just like pick and choose a specific language that I want, what is the name for the functions and things like that. And I will have my API ready, right? So I'm going to choose JavaScript because React.js. I'm going to name this hello. That's it, guys. This is my backend function. This is my API, and it configured everything for me, including a sample app which just does hello name, this triggered blah 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 blah. So what I'm going to do is I don't want boring message. I'm going to say hi, samosa chai. Maybe put a heart. I don't know if heart is supported, but no harm in trying it, right? Okay, so now I have this code chain. I'm sorry, someone was Vivek. Yeah, were you saying something? I think I
No, no.
heard something. Ah, okay, no worries. So now I have my backend code with me, and I have the site already deployed in one place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how exactly the CI/CD works. So I want to switch to my other repo, which is taking through something which already is there in the GitHub repo, basically the link that I was sharing initially, right? So this one, I have it deployed already in my static web app. And now what I want to do is I want to add an API over here. Because right now this is just a static content. And I want to show how the minute I check in some code, it's immediately going to trigger CI/CD, right? So going back, for some weird reason, I cannot see my mouse cursor. And it's kind of bumming me. I don't know why. Where is my mouse cursor? Oh yeah, it's back. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So I am gonna just check once. Where am I? Get branch. Am I on main? I am on main. Okay, fine, cool. Oh yeah, I am on main. Never mind. Cool. So now I have this code over here and I have my config over here. One thing which we need to be mindful of when we are doing a static app is the configuration workflow. So here, because I already have a static web app which is linked to that repo, I do not have to start from the scratch because it's going to check out the build configurations over here and use these details, right? It's gonna do the app location as static, API location as API, and output location as nothing because I'm not building anything right now, right? So I can even afford to do skip app build true because it's just an HTML. But for suppose you're using some other application, you do not have this line. You can just comment out this line and it works fine. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to quickly check in these things. I'm going to check in all of these. Oh no, I double clicked. And I'm going to make a comment saying add API. Oh no, why does this have to happen? Looks like my Git is logged out.
Um,
This keeps happening.
oh,
Yeah.
is your do you have a GitHub? This one, the client side, the GitHub
Yes.
desktop.
Oh, yeah.
If you have GitHub
I
desktop,
have a
just
Git bash. Yes, I do
no,
have a
no,
Git bash. Right.
the desktop app, GitHub desktop app,
Oh no. So
because
this is a
oh,
new
you don't have.
system which I got. I have like half the things configured, half the things not configured. But this is not an issue. I think I can like quickly figure this out. All
Okay,
I have to do is meanwhile, I'm gonna let you guys like keep talking so that I can do these configurations. Maybe like you can quickly stop sharing the screen for a minute so that I can do
okay,
these additions
So we can talk
and
okay,
we can
about Nish.
yeah,
We can talk about samosachai.net website,
yes we
how
can.
we built it while she fixes that. Let's
exactly.
go.
Let's talk about Samosa Chai website now. As I don't want to steal away any thunder from Reshmi. That's why I was just holding on because she wanted to show the API part, and but let's start sharing my screen. And so basically, what I wanted to show everybody is this is the newest website that we have now, and you can see the URL called samosachai.net, and you can see that this is also HTTPS enabled, of which I'm not even paying anything for, which is even great, right? Because we had this. So Vivek and I, when the moment he said he's going to name the channel Samosa Chai, and we predominantly speak about .NET. We already had a domain, and we just registered, just like any other project that you would do in your life. The idea comes, the first thing that you do is buy a domain and keep it, because we do not know when we make $1 million business out of it. So we already had a domain, and which was not doing anything. It was just sitting there. So I was doing a redirection to the Reactor site where we usually have all the events set up. So when we were restarting this whole Samosa Chai series, so I reached out to Rashmi to see how we can make a website out of it, and she sent me a bunch of resources, and I started with that. So now you can see that this is it's an amazing page to me, not because I built it, but I really love the colors and the theming and all those things. And this was built from scratch, and what it did is, instead of as I say, when I say built from scratch, technically everything right here was hand coded, but what I did is, before even I get there, the good thing about Static Web Apps team is that they give you some website generators where you can actually, there are templates we can start from, so you don't have to do any of these things yourself. So I have this. So what I did is, this is the website, samosachai-web. So you can see that it is generated from a static web dev Blazor starter, and so Blazor is amazing. If you are new to Blazor, Blazor supports your client-side development in C Sharp. That means I'm not going to use JavaScript, but I'm going to use C Sharp. And I'm using a WebAssembly. What means every C Sharp that I write is also rendering right inside the browser. So, which is amazing. So, um, I've done JavaScript and CSS and all those things a few years ago, but 10 years ago, but I've not been very hands-on with JavaScript. So I was not very comfortable writing JavaScript. So I chose C Sharp because that's something which I'm very, very comfortable with. So now that we have this, template to start with, so look at here. This is like Blazor starter application. And then all that they ask you to do is just like what Reshmi showed you here. We have, if you install the Static Web Apps CLI and the Azure Functions Code Tool CLI, you can just simply say SWA start and then provide the local port that you want to run on. And then it's because it's running a .NET project, you have another thing that you want to give the run parameters, and then also provide the location API. And then that's it. That just starts everything up, right? So this is what I did. So what you can do is, if you just see this Blazor -starter, you can put a generate out of it. And then when you click generate, it now asks you where do you want to generate this, and now I choose my own repo, and then I create it. So what happens is then that creates a template for you, which is what has happened here. So now you can see that it is the same thing. I'm so lazy that I haven't even changed the README file for it, because I was more interested in getting the site up because I was too excited. I fell for the free SSL and the custom domain configuration, and for all of which I didn't pay anything, which is amazing.
You are a
So yeah,
developer, so you don't
yeah,
like
paying.
documentation.
Oh, like that. Okay, I thought you were gonna say I don't like to pay. Okay, yeah, that is. I mean, I'm for documentation, but I think the first thing is, just ship it, right? Like let's have. I mean, I started writing this last week. I think I just Monday or Tuesday, one of the days I just did this. And the thing about this is, so it gives you this API client and then some shared project. So client is basically the Blazor. The better way to do this is, let's try doing this. We'll just put let's open the editor right inside the GitHub. So so there you go. So now I have this client project. So within this, I have this is what the Blazor WebAssembly project is, and it has these pages. And you can see that, there is, by default, Blazor WebAssembly gives you this counter.razor, fetch data.razor. So these are all sample codes, and I haven't even removed that. And that's the funny part, because what I did is I just went, and I was too excited to just have the website first. So I went and modified the index.razor, and then I created components out of it. Like, okay, I'm eventually going to ship it as components. So I have these ones. So if you look at these under shared, and then you can see that there is past episodes, the survey response, sponsor.razor, and things like that. Now, another thing I have, so here are the challenges that I face as a web developer, right? So when I start to create a website, I'm like, okay, do I want to start with the HTML, head, body, tags, and things like that, or just start with some kind of template? So I was looking for templates. Okay, can I get some free templates? Where can I find free templates and things like that? There were a lot of paid templates with the Bootstrap and other things like that. And interestingly, I came across something called as tailwind.css, where you can just modify a few CSS and just make it look nice. And I was excited about this because anything to do with writing less code, I'm always for that. So I looked at the Tailwind CSS, and it was Chris's blog, which excited me here, where he talks about how to get Tailwind CSS and Blazor to work together. And there you go. So he wrote, kudos to him that he put in every single thing there. Like, he talks about, like, okay, what are the things that you need to do. And then what I did is I went to Tailwind CSS. I think it's tailwindcss.com. Okay, yeah. So, and then I looked at these components, and I started working from here, like, looking at, let's go to the right one. So I think they have a search. Yeah. So I looked at, let's say, body, add custom styles to body, and then it just gives you these kind of things. Okay, let's go to the home page. Let me tell you what happened. So here you go. So Tailwind talked about this. So you can see that, how you can make you just use CSS classes, and then just, make this site look beautiful. And I was very, very excited about this. I was like, okay, this is exactly what I did. And what I did is I copied and pasted a bunch of code from this documentation into the Blazor site, and then just magically everything came back. So you can see that the thing that talks about the nice circular formatting around the hosts, and and also a few things like like this one. So you can totally say that, if you go to the Tailwind CSS here, you can see that this templating is exactly what I copied and pasted and made Rashmi look good on this website, right? So I just copied and pasted this side and then made a few color changes. So obviously we have a color palette, so I just went with those color palettes and things like that, right? It was pretty easy to do that in Tailwind, right? So there's a dark theme, it all comes through nicely. You can also I have my friend Adi also. He's good at all the CSS thing, so he helped me fix a few things here, like sticking to mobile platforms and things like that. And this entire page is written in CSS, HTML, and not JavaScript in C sharp. So there's no JavaScript in this website at all, so which is great. And then the another beautiful thing is, because I have this thing, that's it. So once this is done, I went back to the template, and they told me how to deploy this website. So here it goes. If I go down, it talks about, okay, do you want to deploy this to Azure Static Web Apps? This is what you need to do. Look at our static guide, and I went into this, and then it talked about, okay, create the repository, and this is the generate thing that I was talking about. This I've already done it. And the next thing is you navigate to the Azure portal and just log in with your GitHub, and then tell which is your website that you want to host, and that happens to be the Samosa Chai website that I just fixed it, and that's it. And then it just goes and deploys it. Now I'm sure Rashmi finds it comfortable using SWA tools and things like that, but for me this was much more easier, because I was logged in and I could just point at my GitHub location, and then it just went ahead and deployed it. When it
With
deployed it
GitHub Actions.
with, yeah, exactly. So when I pointed this, so this is what happens. I think okay, so let's go like this. Go back to my GitHub. So when I pointed that location, what it does, magically what it did was, under the GitHub, there was nothing called this thing
Yes.
was not there in my repository. It
Yes.
went ahead and created this pipeline for me, which
Exactly.
was amazing. I was like, oh, and the beautiful thing that it did was, it also knew that I need token, right? To For the GitHub to talk to my Azure, it needed to access the secrets. It went ahead and configured that too. And I'm just looking at the Azure portal, clicking on a few buttons, and everything was ready. And then it just went ahead and then deployed everything to the site. So basically what it did is, let me show you. Let's go to the portal, Azure portal now. And so this is what it did. It went ahead and deployed this here. And if you go to the custom domains, I mean, I'm pretty sure Rashmi has explanation on all these things you'll cover about. But what it did is, it gave me this DNS. So I copied this thing, and if I run it, it basically runs the Samosa Chai website. There you go. Right. All that I needed to do is, now the famous samosachai.net, which we bought it like about a year ago, which was lying and doing nothing and just getting renewed every year. All that I had to do was, like, add a CNAME record to that, and then that's it. Everything just started working, and there you go. The site is up. There's a domain linked, freshness, everything. And the most beautiful thing is, 2 days back, I get a pull request. Guess from who? And that pull request came in from Mr. Vivek. And I was like, okay, Vivek is trying to change this website. I'm so happy that he's making those changes. And I went and looked at it. Okay, what did Vivek commit to it, right? Let's go look at his PR.
Okay, I'm really excited now.
Yeah. So what he did is, he said, hey, you have a typo on your website, and he replaced the shows with episode. I'm like, wow, Vivek, that's amazing. and and I looked it on my phone. So the GitHub has this app, right? So that's where you
It
get the
runs.
notification. I was like, yeah. So I looked at comment, like, okay, that was really a small change, and I have nothing to worry about it. I was like, okay, I'm going to merge this thing, and I went and merged it, and after a few minutes, it was all up with, this is what he fixed. I had upcoming shows here. He went and changed it to upcoming episodes, and I didn't have to worry about breaking anything. Like, the entire pipeline was set up, and so this was really amazing for me.
I'm a good developer. I don't break anything.
For sure. Cool. Did your Git get fixed?
Yeah, long back. I've been chilling
Oh, so
since the
sorry.
last, I don't know.
What I
I
liked
was,
about it is it basically when I did this change, when I did a pull request, I could run a lot of tests and it created a test link for me.
Hmm.
Even
yes,
before I think he merged, there was a test
Yeah.
link for us and I was able to test it. And then you know and I submitted the request anyways. Nish merged it, but it was I got the test link, so which is really
yes,
good, right? So basically, as a developer,
Yeah.
you push something, you have the test link, you can see it, and maybe you go back and make changes. If it is some problem, you make changes and push it, right? So that's something which is really cool.
Yeah.
exactly.
So
That's
there's a
one of
question.
the good selling points that Static Web Apps has right now is because of the automated CI/CD deployments. Every time someone makes a commit and you raise a PR, you get a specific link which just shows like what Vivek described, right? A specific link which just shows the changes that you've made. You can immediately see it up there and see if it works exactly how you expect it to be. And if it's not, then you can just like take back your PR, right? You don't have to like merge it to the main branch, so you can test it. And that insane soul, if something goes wrong, you can choose to not merge your PR. So yes, you can
Exactly.
segregate
Yeah.
it.
And
And
also, uh,
yeah,
just a quick thing. I mean, this just answering this question. What about testing if something goes wrong? Yeah, I mean, that's why we have the CI/CD pipeline. So you can also have the tests run. So you can, like for example, for the web related ones, you can use something called like Playwright, which also came with this PR when I was generating it. But I did not write tests because I was in a hurry to get the site up. But I think that the very next logical step is to write those tests clearly, and then only when those tests pass, and then that's when you want to approve or merging it into main first of all. So all the PRs that is coming in, you can just get it tested, and then also look at the site as well to see if there's nothing breaking, and then you can go ahead and merge it as well. So basically, it sets you up for everything, and we have to do it ourselves. All those other stuffs.
yes. Thank you so much for picking that up. And also, thank you for stepping in and doing a wonderful job in explaining a lot of things. It basically saves a lot of my presentation time, right? But yeah, I figured out that because I recently installed VS Code, I had not configured my GitHub credentials here. But when I was using the command line, it worked fine. And I did not know how long it was going to take. So I just like did the git push at 5:20, which is like 14 minutes back. And if I quickly look at this, right? So I had two workflows. One was which was doing all the tests which I needed to make sure that things are running fine. And the second was this add API. And add API is picking from the workflow which we saw earlier, this one, Ashy Smoke, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it picks all the configurations from here and including the secrets, the GitHub token, the deployment token, everything we need to make sure the website is up. And it took a total of just 2 minutes and 12 seconds to get the website up, right? And now, if I'm trying to check the URL for suppose, I go to the build and deploy, and in build and deploy, I'm gonna see how the website looks like. So here in my comments, I do get the site link, right? If I click on the site link, there you go. Everything is up there again on the cloud, all triggered automatically. All I had to do was from my local do a git push, right? And now what we're going to see is whether the app, sorry, the API changes that we did, whether that is in. Now, this is going to be experimental for me also because I haven't tried it before, but I mean, that's where the fun is, right? Slash API slash hello. And what does it say? Okay, this is the default message that we had printed in case someone does not give their name. Now I want to give my name as Samosa Chai.
Yay!
Voila. All I'm gonna do is just click those two buttons to add the API, and now I am making a transactional serverless call to Azure Functions in the background, and that's fetching this requirement and getting it back to me on my website. So how easy was that? I mean, how convenient was that? All you have to do is you have a lot of tutorials actually. I don't know why I keep talking about it, but you have so many tutorials, so many templates, so many videos which walk you through all this experience. You just got to like give it 5 minutes of your time, not even 5 actually, 2 minutes of your time, run it, explore it, be like Nish, and create your own websites in static web apps. So, configuring custom domains again is very easy, the way Nish explained. Right now, I haven't done that to this site, but basically, all you have to do is go to custom domains, and here you already have a URL where your current application lies. You have to just add a CNAME and link it to the domain that you have. It's going to take like a couple of minutes, but that's it, tops. You have it ready already. You have a lot of environments, and this is where I'm going to come back to the reason why the previous site that we have did not reflect over here. I just deciphered that as well when I was in the background, is because when I was doing SWA deploy, I did not set the environment. I let the environment be in preview. So right now it's in test. And that's the reason why I have this extra prefix on my environment. So basically, when you're doing SWA deploy, you have an option to specifically set which environment you want to get it to. If you want it to go to production, you have to either leave it empty or mention production. And if you mention production, you will not have this extra suffix on your URL, and it will directly get deployed to this URL, which was linked to the resource group already. So that's how we make sure that you have preview environments, you have staging environments, you can test it out somewhere and deploy it out exactly on the prod link. So I think I did a lot of talking. I did a lot of presentation. I really hope everything just magically makes sense to everyone. But this link, basically, I'm going to share the GitHub link to you all. All you have to do is check out the second last page. It has a lot of links, a lot of resources, some of them videos, some of them documentations. We have this very beautiful 30 days journey, which basically takes you from zero to hero on static web apps, all the way from introducing it to making complicated end-to-end applications. All of them from the best minds from this community. Everyone's contributing to this. It's an open source project. Feel free to go through it, read through this journey, and of course, I am going to get this URL up there on the screen, or yes, it's already on the screen. Beautiful. So this GitHub repository is public. So if you want to go around, play with it, recreate the same as a template and use it for your own purposes or do anything of that sorts, feel free, play around. And now the code also has an API, so you can use that as well. All said and done. Where is my thank you slide? Yeah, just a second. Thank you. That's
Amazing,
it.
amazing.
I am open for questions, guys.
Yeah.
Let's ask the community if they have any questions. Any questions? There was one question, interesting question at the beginning of the session. If you want to take that, Nish,
So
this
what
one.
is it?
Suggest me the best budget-friendly programming laptop.
Okay. It's a very I think here's my say on this. First of all, if you are someone who wants to be very deeply writing softwares and things like that, like avoid laptops. Like build a desktop. It's much cheaper. And if you're not someone who's going traveling a lot, one, you will learn how to build and build it yourself. Like, go and assemble PCs and like learn how to do that. It's amazing. So you can actually configure some really good ones. At least get a 32 gigs RAM, 2022. So 16 may not be enough. And then go with a processor with again, choosing between Intel and AMD is like Intel gives you a higher speed per core versus AMD for the similar price. It'll give you more cores, so it means multiple processes, right? So depending on what you're doing, choose one of those things and then build. Everything else is just that, graphics and things like that depends on how graphic heavy you want to. You can go with that. But again, budget friendly
Now that you are
laptops.
here, start your website.
From somewhere I got the nice little music behind. I thought. So anyway, so I was saying the laptops, it's fine. I mean, just go with 32 gigs RAM and like if it's something which you can't avoid, laptops, and yeah, go with at least 32 gigs RAM. And so again, that's the problem with budget, and 32 gigs RAM doesn't go really really well. But try and see if you can push those things, because those are things that you may not change. Like you want to keep it for a really long period of time, and because you will be writing programs to support more stuffs, don't invest in a very low RAM and things like that. Like go with a higher RAM at least, and some SSD for sure. I mean, that's by default. Don't go with a whole SGD because they're giving you 1 TB and things like that. Your base, the one which runs your operating system and all the things that you want writing code, whichever drive you're using, you make sure it's an SSD or NVMe for that matter. Yeah, those are some suggestions. But again, feel free to comment on these things. And I know various people have different experiences with this. So yeah,
So I have this, just like what Reshmi tell, right? Complete this learn module to become like Nish, right? To- Here is a,
I like.
we have the learn module where, as Nish explained how to do it. It's almost covering everything, and just go by this learn module, and then enjoy that journey of building your own static website, right? This is the link. I'm just posting the link in the chat as well, and it's up here as well. So just take it up. And by the way, we do have something coming up next week, which is uh, a hands-on, right? You can join us at the reactor. You can visit the reactor. We have Vivek who will join us as one of the mentor there. He'll be there, and Reshmi will join, and Nish will be there. If you're building, let us all get together and build app together and deploy that
Yeah.
app, right? So this is happening next week at the reactor, and it's in-person event. We can make it online. We can just pull up the link and post it online. You can also join online as well. But this is something we are going to do next week. So do join us
Yeah.
at the reactor.
So is this something where they come up with their own website ideas and then we just help them achieve that?
Yes,
Okay, amazing,
That sounds lovely.
we have three
nice.
hours of learning, 3 to 4 hours of learning. Everybody sit together, build it, and deploy. Including I will do it. I will also be building one.
Yes.
I'm happy.
And this time the
Oh,
PR is going to be
yes.
more than just the word change, right?
And I'm going to. I
I
was
want you
testing that
to.
actually.
I want the
How
API.
does
Let's
it
let's
look?
use API. Let's use API. But let's query the meetup and then auto populate the episodes and things like that.
Episodes.
And
That
then
would
Yeah,
be
that's
amazing.
we
be
have a
that will be like that will be the hack.
yeah,
We're going to build with functions app, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and
And
I just
mhm,
wanted to take a couple of minutes. I know that there was this question which kept coming on the chat, which is
yeah,
if static web apps can be used for dynamic sites as well.
yeah, I put it.
So
Yep.
yeah, I am not sure what exactly is the concern over here, because if you're talking about by dynamic, we mean like making these API calls and transactions, then yes, you can use it. The only caveat we have over here is because static web apps is more focused towards having that segregation between front end and back end. We currently support only one kind of backend. Like for suppose if you want to have one database and you want to have another CMS and another blob storage, all of them together for just one front end. That's something that we currently don't support. That's something we are looking towards exploring. But the whole idea of dynamism in static web apps comes from connecting to the serverless backend. So, yes, static web apps can be used for both static and dynamic sites. The reason why people consider using static web apps is because A, it helps in bringing down the latency, and B, in case you have updates which goes for front end and back end separately, you can make sure that the site does not go down or does not have a long build time for someone. And C, it saves a lot of money. I mean, who am I kidding? You have a website which is like for a big 500 company, and all you have to do is update one link. Why do you want to spend so much bucks for like a full package when you have a static site component which can host your site for way cheaper, right? We are selling it out in pennies. So if you want to like, and that too like for free, actually. You spend money only if you want to increase your quota. Otherwise, you're like very good. So that is one thing which I wanted to make out over here in the public. And one more thing which I was just wondering if I can like have the screen back again. I want to show a quick trailer of what we did for the launch of SWA CLI, and it's gonna take like just 48 seconds, but I really love this video, so I personally like keep watching it again and again.
Nice. What a great way
Awesome.
to end the show.
I know, right? I mean, I'm so much in awe with this video. I keep playing it again and again. It's just like so captive. But I am so glad you've been such a nice audience. Thank you so much for being there in this talk. And thank you, Vivek and Nish, again for having me here and making this the inaugural act. I cannot wait to see so many folks try out static web apps and get back to me with all their feedback, suggestions, and contributions to all the code that we have. Thank you so much once again.
Yeah, it was. I think we had a lovely time. Thank you for taking time out and then joining us to from your busy day doing PMing stuffs, which is even hard. So it was. It's amazing that you joined us, and I mean, it was a pleasure because we were just getting started with the next season, and we were looking for more people to come in and join us and do the show. And we're so glad that you could agree, and then it's amazing. I mean, it's just even better was the whole presentation where reveal.js was used to do the presentation. That's amazing.
Yep. And closing comment before I sign off, guys. I really, really hope this presentation had an impact on you, and I'm looking forward to see the most of you on the next week when we have the hands-on, and you get to personally ask your questions and your queries and work on the project while staying like live with us, right? So please don't miss this opportunity. Please do visit the Reactor link and sign up for the upcoming meet. Throw any questions in advance if you have. You can feel free to reach out to any of us, and hope you guys have a fun time coding.
And do join us for the next show, next episode. You know, it's going to be on Mavi. James is going to be here. I'm super excited on that for that. And this is a link, by the way. You can go to the samasachai.net and you can find all the links there. Okay.
Lovely. All right. So time to close. So
Thank
Vivek, your
you,
closing words.
Rishmi.
Bye
My
bye,
closing
folks.
words. Okay.